What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. In today's video, I want to do a viewer requested video and a video that has been covered in other areas and is a topic of conversation that has been picking up steam for quite a few years now within Major League Baseball. And in today's video, we're going to talk about pitch tunneling. So what I want to first say here before we dive into the topic of this video is that I am by far not going to be the best expert to talk about pitch tunneling within baseball. What I will say, however, is that I can pull from resources, and I can very much tell you that I have been utilizing the concept of pitch tunneling without understanding that it was actually a labeled concept and has a definition within the game of baseball and within pitching as a pitcher within baseball. However, that does not make it any less of an important topic. It is probably the most important topic for you guys to know right now with pitching if you want to pitch well as a pitcher, and it helps to explain why you're able to strike batters out and how to more effectively utilize your pitch set in order to strike out a batter. So without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about what pitch tunneling is, and we'll go ahead and dive into that aspect of things. First and foremost, I want to give a little bit of a definition to pitch tunneling. Essentially, what pitch tunneling is minimizing the distance of two pitches at the commitment point, or at the tunnel point, or the point of no return, whatever you want to label it as, and many people label it as something different. You're going to try to minimize the distance of two pitches at that tunnel point, while maximizing the distance between the pitch's final coordinates. Now, what I want to say is there's a little bit of an added concept here beyond just the distance between the two pitches. So the general concept of tunneling is discussed as, you throw it to a point, and I'm going to put a graphic up here on the screen to help describe this. You're throwing it to a point to where the release looks like it's at a similar point, and the pitch for a significant portion of its path is looking like it is the same pitch. It ends up being a completely different location whenever it crosses the plate. And so, for example, we can talk about the difference between a fastball and a curveball, or a fastball and a changeup, or a fastball and a cutter, fastball and a slider. There's going to be a difference there where you may be trying to locate the pitch in a similar location for the no return point, but inevitably the breaking pitch is going to break pretty far away from that initial pitch location. So for example, and we'll get further into this in this video, you may throw a fastball to the top left-hand corner of the zone and ultimately then throw a slider that looks like it's going for the top left-hand corner of the zone, but ultimately breaks away from the top left-hand corner, or likewise with a changeup or a curveball, looks like it's going for that top left-hand corner of the zone, but ultimately breaks away from that point, and you get a tunneling effect where you're getting a batter that thinks one thing is coming at them, and they have to make a commitment to a certain type of a pitch that ultimately is incorrect. And that's what pitch tunneling is. It is forcing a batter to make a decision on something that is essentially incorrect, forcing them to make a decision on the release point of the ball, and ultimately the pitches end up further apart, which is going to create problems for the batter, because if they're committing to one thing and the pitch ends up doing something different beyond that point of commitment, they have no ability to change what they're doing at the plate in order to affect that. I mean, you have to make a decision pretty quick. And to be honest with you, when we take a look at this graphic that I'm throwing up on the screen for you guys, what I've heard and what I've researched now is that the commit point, the tunnel point, the point of no return is actually closer to the pitcher than what is indicated in this graphic. In fact, a lot of people are saying that about a third sooner you have to make that decision as a batter. Now, I'm sure that's give or take depending on which batter we're talking about and depending on which level of player we're talking about. Certain guys might be able to pick it up a little bit differently than others, and certain guys might be a little bit more effective at it than others. So the point of no return might be slightly different from batter to batter, but nonetheless, the concept remains the same. So with with that being said, I want to go ahead and actually pitch with a couple pitchers here within the game and show you guys the concept of tunneling. And keep in mind, I'm not going to be the perfect guy to explain this, but I want you guys to at least be introduced to the topic so that you guys know what I'm talking about. So for example, if I am throwing a four-seam fastball up here, and let's say that we're in a 1-0 count and I'm trying to get a second strike, I'm going to throw my four-seam fastball to the left side of the zone. Ultimately, that four-seam fastball ended up in the bottom left-hand corner. So if I want to try to strike a batter out, in order to get them to commit to where that four-seam fastball was, but miss on a pitch that's going to be going in a different direction, I could do a couple of different things. I could throw a slider, for example, that is going to go beyond where that four-seam fastball was. So it's going to look like that fastball did, going towards that part of the zone. And obviously I missed there on that pitch. But nonetheless, you're going to be doing a similar concept here where you're getting the pitch to break away from where the batter might expect it to be. So let's go ahead and try to actually get a good example here. So there's just a fastball pretty much down the middle of the zone for you guys. I'm going to take the pressure off of the curveball to get it to go the direction that I want. There you go. So it looks like the pitch is coming in towards the same area of the zone, and ultimately the distance between those two pitches, whenever it's all said and done, is far apart. And that just goes back to the basic concept of pitching and trying to strike batters out, something that I'm sure everybody is aware of. You want to try to get the batter kind of off balance so they don't know exactly what's coming at them, and they swing through a pitch or they swing behind a pitch, throwing pitches that look similar, but the end result has them spaced far apart. So that's the concept of tunneling. So to be honest with you guys, I think that the best way that I can actually demonstrate this is by hopping into my Road to the Show here with my pitcher and utilize the pitches that I'm very comfortable with and I utilize to achieve the same concept. So what I like to do against batters within Road to the Show more often than not is I like to pound the zone with fastball and fastball-like pitches. So I'm going to go with the two-seam there real quick. I'm going to come back here quickly with a cutter, which is just a breaking fastball, essentially. And then that sets the batter up to understand that I'm going to be attacking that certain location. So if they see a pitch coming to that location, they're going to have to make a decision to swing or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the same location, but break a pitch past it like a slurve here. The same thing can be done with a slider and pitches of that nature. These pitches are going to look very much the same coming into the zone, ultimately though being very far apart. We saw that that fastball really dipped into the bottom left-hand corner of the zone. We saw that that slurve really went past the bottom corner of the zone, and ultimately we got him to swing on a slider that also looked like it was going towards that bottom corner of the zone, but came outside to the left of the zone, too far inside for him to get a good hit on the ball. And ultimately that resulted in a poorly hit ball. So let's go ahead and try to do a couple more attempts here of the same concept. Now we're facing batters on the same side of the plate, so it might not be necessarily the most effective to go with pitches that are going towards them. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm attacking the top of the zone here, and now I'm going to hit them with a changeup. So we're going to go with the Vulcan change. We're going to make this pitch look like it's going to that top left-hand corner of the zone yet again, but this one's going to drop down. So we can see he had trouble getting down to that ball. He got a little bit of contact on it, but nonetheless he was ineffective at getting to that ball. So let's go ahead now and try to hit him with a changeup that's going to go well below the zone, because we know that he's trying to swing on something that we've already shown, and there you see it. He's going to swing right through that ball because he's committed to a certain part of the zone. He's committed and he thinks that our pitches are going in a certain direction. He commits to it, but ultimately we are fooling him because we are putting that pitch so far away from where the first pitch actually was that it's going to cause him to not be able to adjust to it whenever we realize that the ball is not going to the same spot. So we've got another opportunity at a batter up here, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to pitch him some high fastballs, and we're going to try to do the same thing that we just did, but this time with another changeup. So we just got him to swing through a pitch that was up in the zone, and again, the batter knows that that pitch is likely coming into the zone, so he has to swing at it, otherwise it's going to be a third strike. He doesn't want to go down looking, he doesn't want to just let that pitch go right by him, so he has to commit to that ball that he thinks is going to be a fastball, that he just swung on and missed on, and it breaks so far away from where that fastball was that it's an ugly strikeout. So that is the concept, like I said, of pitch tunneling, and I do hope that this information was useful to you guys, and I hope that I did justice to this concept of pitch tunneling, and I'm sure that it does get a little bit more advanced than this, but nonetheless, this is the information that you guys need to know to at least be introduced to this subject and maybe get your foot in the door of understanding what you want to do here. So with all that being said, hopefully you guys will leave a like down below, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys have a good one.